Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 186th episode. 186. What?
Yeah.
Of Woke and Free, guys. If you've been tuning in every week for Woke and Free Wednesday, you know that Woke and Free is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we're doing another Woke and Free story time called 21 Questions About Humor. Ha ha ha. Are you excited?
That was a joke?
Ha! That was the punchline.
Good one.
But before we dive deep, I have a couple of questions and statements to make. First and foremost, have you downloaded the episode on WokeNFree.com through the Podbean app? If not, please do, because that's the best way to A, show support, and B, how you join the conversation. And who doesn't want to have a conversation with us? Hello. Thank you very much. Now, of course, if you cannot download an app for whatever device you're listening to for a podcast, then that's a little bit sad. But all that we ask is that you go to WokeNFree.com to pick your platform of choice on the Listen tab. And you'll see we're on all the different places that you can catch podcasts at. You can catch us on iTunes, on TuneIn, on Stitcher, on Google Play, our YouTube channel, SoundCloud. We have episodes there, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. So just make sure you're subscribed and followed to any of those places that you do listen to podcasts at. Now, we do ask that you also consider subscribing to the show via email because A, it's the best way for you to have that weekly reminder of, oh, it's a new episode. It's Woke and Free Wednesday. Here we go. Time to listen. But then also super easy to encourage your friends and family to listen, do the same and subscribe to the show because all you have to do is forward that email. So how cool is that, y'all? Now, when it comes to social media, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Yes, I said TikTok. And Pinterest at Woke and Free. And then, of course, if you have 90 seconds, you can do a lot. You definitely can. What we ask that you do with 90 seconds is to review the show. Now, we love our 5-star reviews on iTunes. Could we get more? I think so. What do you think, Khalil?
Yeah, definitely.
I think so. So, if you want to join the cool kids, then that's where you're at. For the 90 seconds, give us those reviews, guys. We want to know how the show is feeding into you and what you enjoy most about it. And with that, I think I'm going to pass the baton to you.
Cool. I'll take it from here.
Mm-hmm.
And we will get right into the episode then.
Okay. Right back to me. I like it.
Yeah.
Question number 1. What makes something funny?
Something that is outrageous or absurd. I think that makes things funny. But also dark things can be funny. Similar to how we all laugh at someone's pain or even look back and laugh at something that was kind of painful to happen to us. I think that can be funny. So there's many different shades of funny.
And humor. Yes, that makes sense. Okay. So I came across this website called socialpsychoonline.com where Caleb Warren and Peter McGraw define humor as a psychological response characterized by the positive emotion of amusement, the appraisal that something is funny, and the tendency to laugh. So similar to what you're suggesting, people find humor in things that you relate to, but then also that could be in a positive light or a negative light. So, very, very interesting stuff there.
All right. That's a good one. Question 2. Does humor change in different cultures or communities?
Absolutely. So there are things that I specifically find very hilarious because of my Jamaican culture and roots that might not be equally appreciated outside of that culture. And I believe humor can be very subjective because it changes depending upon the culture or community that's involved, in the sense of who's laughing at whom or at what and what exactly is funny. So for instance, if anyone listening is familiar with Oliver, the Jamaican comedian, he has so many different skits and so many different things that he did that Jamaican people, if you, I'm aging myself, but if you are familiar with Oliver, you know that he was hilarious, but I think he's mostly funny to Caribbean people. I think a non-Caribbean person who would watch a skit by him would not necessarily be in tears the way that you or I could be because of our cultural roots. Yeah.
That's the whole thing behind an inside joke. It's when people can get a joke because of the experience or the culture, but other people outside, they don't even understand what's funny. So
exactly,
this question definitely is true.
Mm-hmm.
Humor, it differs because of that. Mm-hmm. There's sarcasm.
Yes,
is one kind of thing that some people like, some people don't. It depends on the cultures. Or dark jokes, or even slapstick humor. I think some cultures lend to that more than others.
Interesting. Absolutely. Question 3: can something be funny to a person and also offensive to another person?
That is a resounding yes, because people are often offended while others laugh on. And we know by going to comedy clubs and even watching comedy specials, all these comedians love to make fun of people in the front row. And they're doing that at the expense of those people in the front row.
Who probably take offense to them being the butt of the joke. So that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And so I agree with you. I think that what one person can find funny is equally offensive to someone else. Because that person is, I like to what you're saying, like they could be the butt of the joke, and that if someone's making fun of you, you most likely don't find it funny. But other people will find it really hilarious. And or that, maybe you don't believe in laughing at something like that. Like, for instance, you mentioned laughing at pain, someone else's pain. You might be offended by the idea that someone would want to laugh at that. Well, someone else is like, bring on the pain. Like they think it's hilarious. So it is interesting how, something can be equally funny and offensive at the same time.
And then I should have mentioned just even people laughing about stereotype jokes. People often laugh about that, but the person being stereotyped, sometimes they don't laugh at it because they're saying, hey, that's messed up. That's not, that stereotype 100%. Isn't true, but you make it seem true. And sometimes some elements of it do happen, but that doesn't mean the stereotype is true. That just means humans do that.
Exactly.
So that's another thing that comes up. Question 4. Can you be friends with a person who doesn't share in your humor?
Yes, because I am a strong advocate that anything is possible really in life. And I know you hate that phrase, but we will not digress. So
we know better. We know about this one. We know.
We will not go there.
We know the truth.
But I will say that I can speak from my perspective. I personally enjoy spending and sharing my humor with people who I know share in that humor, because it furthers or deepens the bond that I have with that person. And could I be friends with someone who doesn't share in my humor? Absolutely. I've definitely been friends with people who didn't share my sense of humor, but I felt that those relationships were not as intertwined or as deep because there was something really deeply missing. Because for me, humor is something that is really important to me, because I pride myself on being a person who can always laugh and be joyous as much as possible. And because I think life is extremely convoluted and deeply depressing more times than it should be. So I try to find as many opportunities to laugh. And if you can't be silly and laugh with me, then I feel like you're part of the problem and with this world. And so it would be a harder type of relationship or a harder type of friendship. But yes, I think you could make it work. But why would you want to?
That's funny.
Why? What's your answer?
My answer is yes, you definitely can be friends with the person, but you likely will offend them as well. So you'll have to look out for that, because your humor could be completely different than their sense of humor.
That's true.
And it could make some interesting times ahead. So I would just watch out for that. But
that's true.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's an issue. And then, at least when I was younger, I learned different types of humor from being friends with people who didn't have the same sense of humor as me. So I think it could help you grow as well.
That's a good point, though. Yeah, it definitely is a opportunity.
Because you can see something from a different point of view and be like, oh, that is kind of funny when you think of it like that.
It is. I mean, usually not every time I say something that's funny to my friends or my friend will they be like, ah, ha, ha, Tosh. But I definitely think that there's a range of what I would define as funny versus what they would, and we're in the same range area. It's not like what they wouldn't be offended, because I could easily offend. So I prefer people who are like, nope, that's funny. Question number 5. What is something you are ashamed of thinking that is actually funny, that you believe is funny?
Someone's mistake causing them pain. It's easy for me to laugh at someone's pain again, and sometimes it's like messed up because their mistake caused them the issue. And I don't know. I think that's kind of messed up.
Give an example of that. What do you mean by that?
So if someone is like working. Well, the classic one. I mean, I've laughed at it, and I think some people have. But when someone's maybe like hammering a nail, and then they hit their thumb with the hammer.
Oh, you would actually laugh, yeah.
So not now, but I used to.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Like you used to, and so you find that, but you're ashamed that you used to now.
Yeah, because it's kind of messed up. Because that's a painful thing, and it was a mistake. It wasn't like
absolutely.
It's like a harmful mistake. So I think that's, to me, kind of a messed up thing. So things along the line of that, where you make a mistake and it causes you it causes you some extreme pain, and then me laughing about that. That's I think that's kind of messed up.
That makes sense.
But there's other times that's happened too. I think we've watched a video where I think there was like a telephone pole that fell on some cars or something, and we were laughing at it. And
that's horrible.
Remember, it was on that 100 Humans show, I think.
Oh yeah.
They were showing a tragic video, but there's people that laugh at it and people that don't. Yeah. So I think that was a shameful moment for both of us.
Correct.
But that was, for me personally, I was ashamed of it, but I did laugh at it.
Correct.
Oh, so you did. It's kind of like those epic fails that they show. Yeah. They have videos of them on video sites. Yeah.
All right. So for me, I would say this is a real question, but it's a hard one to answer. So there's a ton of movies that I like to watch that are necessary, that like, not a ton, but there's some classic films. I'm about to say a name that if you're familiar, you'll be like, oh man, Tosh. That I would say are funny, but they're not necessarily progressive or helpful for promoting the health or upliftment of my community, being the Black community. And specifically, what movie am I referring to? There's lots that could fit in that category, but specifically, I am referring to a movie called Norbit.
Stereotypes?
Correct. That I find actually one of the funniest things I've ever watched in my entire life, but is really terrible for pushing the culture forward. And so I guess I would be ashamed of that, because it's like, to this day, I mean, I think to the day I die, I will still find that movie funny.
Wow.
But I understand how problematic that movie is for our community, right? And also the interpretation of our community. So that would be something I'm ashamed of, but
that makes sense.
Really hilarious.
Yeah. Question 6. Does your humor have to be PC or otherwise politically correct?
Wow. Another hard question there. We live in a world where it is really important for us to think about what others are thinking and feeling, and how our words and our actions impact the lives of others, and how inclusive are we being with what we're saying, what we're doing, and why would our humor be relegated to a space where we don't need to think about the feelings and thoughts and existence of others. It shouldn't be, because humor, like anything else, is a part of the exchanges that we do with each other as human beings. And so if we care about the well-beingness of us as a global community, which we should, then humor has to be thought within that context as well. And so the right answer here is it should be politically correct, and it should be sensitive and inclusive. But will it ever get to that point? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be there for 2021, but I couldn't say 20 years from now. How about you?
On my point of view, I think that's not good to aim for that, because people have too many different points of view. So how do you draw the line on what is too politically correct and what's not, when people can't even agree on what's right and what's wrong? I think that's part of the issue. I mean, maybe you can't get to a common standing, so it's not even like you're like, well, everybody knows that's wrong, so why are we gonna do that? No, you're not even on that standpoint. Some people might be okay with it. So that's, to me, I don't think that humor has to be politically correct. Okay. I just think that you got to take into at least concept how people will take the joke, how it's going to be received. That really needs to be done. So I think, because I don't want to see a world where we're limited about what we can joke about, because I think joking about things, again, it's another way to see levity. A different light of thing. Yeah. But you also get to see a different light of thing, because some things we take so seriously, but then a joke's made about it. Then you're like, well, maybe that thing isn't so serious as we made it. It actually doesn't even make sense. So maybe it can lead to change. It can change laws, and I don't know. I think you got to be careful because it's kind of like restricting people's speech. Well, it becomes a freedom of speech situation. But however,
could we all agree that making fun of someone is never like right? Like things like that. When you say, could we all agree on, like, we can't agree on
No,
stuff.
we can't.
I think if we could agree on things like that, where we all agree that it is not correct to make fun of someone else, then that's where that's a limit. But I mean, it definitely changes the humor landscape.
Because the problem is the human existence is already humorous because we make choices that make no sense. So I think that's the problem. It's kind of like, to be human is to be a humorous object. So if you can take away the humanity, then you can be PC about everything, because then humans wouldn't be funny anymore.
We can only make fun of robots or things that are...
Well, yeah, you make things that are still humorous. Like animals would still be humorous, but humans are animals, so of course we're going to be humorous as well, because we make illogical choices.
Yeah.
So true. See, that's the problem, because humans do things that make no sense, and humor often makes fun of those things. Yeah. It makes fun of the dichotomy between people's actions and people's words, because sometimes it's just you're on different landscapes, and it doesn't make sense.
Okay. Question number 7. What is the worst thing you've ever laughed at?
Someone publicly soiling themselves. Yeah, it was hard for me. I had to take a break that day. I said, this day is officially done with. I cannot accomplish anything for the day.
Is this someone you knew?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
This was somebody in high school, I think.
But like,
he told me about a high school experience.
To say publicly soiling.
They told me about a story where they had to do that to themselves.
And you laughed in their face?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't believe them at first, but they were adamant. And no, I don't think anybody would tell you that if it was like, who would make a, like, who would even say that? Yeah,
I mean,
say that.
Well,
happened.
If you're really, I mean,
I wasn't around when it happened. But the person that did it told me about it.
I have no words for that.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I forgot who it was too. I don't remember.
I hope you don't.
I just remember hearing the story though, and it just really blew my mind.
Okay. I think you told me that too, and I can't remember the person's name either, so there
but that to me was really crazy to do that and still like it stay in class.
Oh gosh, okay.
Through the event.
Okay.
So I could have helped myself there, and you understand my pain there. There's no way around that. That's just crazy.
No, that is not something that can be said to you without you humiliating that person. So.
Definitely. I laugh at things that are definitely you're not supposed to laugh at, but that's me.
Alrighty. So for me, I would probably say similar to what you talked about before, like laughing when someone is hurt or pranked is probably one of the worst things I've laughed about, because it's really not funny when someone, is hammering a nail and they hammer their finger or they run into a wall or...
What if you're like skateboarding and you go on a ramp and then you like land on a fire hydrant, but with your butt?
Okay, well...
No, see, it's just too outrageous. I'm not laughing at that. No, that's too outrageous, though.
I'm not laughing at that. Nope.
No, but if you saw what happened, then you would think different.
Well, I've seen things like on TikTok where a kid was like laying on the bed and he was playing with a toy and he like pressed the button and something ejected.
Fired into his face,
and
right?
It fired into it like his mouth. And so he was choking on it, and it's not funny, but it is funny. That's dangerous because
he could die from that. Yeah,
and so it's like things like that where I know people like were hilarious, and then they're duetting it. It's just getting out of control, and so those are things where,
if you're holding the baseball out and your child's trying to hit the baseball, but then they hit you in the back of the leg and you collapse.
Yeah, or they hit you in your private parts, things like that. Yeah,
they do that too. Yeah,
it's like that's on like not funny, but it is. Absolutely,
but it is. People laugh at that on the show, the funniest video show. They
exactly,
do that.
Exactly. Like it's a whole industry over that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Question 8: what has been the funniest moment in your life to date?
So this is a great question because I think that I am grateful to have many funny moments in my life. However, to keep a long story short, I will go right into it. So there is a moment where it involves your mother. And she's a very funny person who bought a home years ago. That's not the funny part, but the funny part is
that's an interesting way to tell it.
When we were in the house with her, we were in the basement area and we were exploring the space, and it was just your mother and I in the basement. And then all of a sudden I started hearing her scream, but it was not a normal scream. It was like it was like an opera like scream, and it scared me to death because I thought how she was screaming, I'd never heard another human being make this type of noise. And so I thought she was staring at a serial killer because my mind goes to places like that. And so I thought Michael Myers was in the basement with us. So then I started screaming because I was equally terrified. And why she was screaming. And it turned out we were both screaming for no apparent reason other than an inflatable alligator that was in the room. So there was no serial killer. There was no Michael Myers to speak of. But that is probably one of the funniest and most memorable memories that come to mind to date. Because you then heard us screaming like banshees and was like, what's... Yeah, and it was just like...
Yeah, at first I said, what's going on? I was just very cool about it. I didn't know what happened.
It was kind of like a seance of madness.
Yeah.
It made no sense at all. But it was... I mean, there's another really funny story, but that, to me, I think, takes the cake for humor in my life.
That's definitely a good one. I mean, my story is shorter, but you know about this one too.
No.
And I'm not going to name anybody specifically.
Correct.
So it's just going to be general.
Let's keep it,
it's going to be in a general way, but this to me is just crazy. So apparently, I just heard this story, and it was my uncle was asking one of my brothers to throw him yogurt, and he was down the steps. So what my brother did is he literally threw yogurt down the steps without even checking if my uncle was there to catch it. So the yogurt slammed against the wall and splattered. My uncle said, okay, even saw something on the wall and said, hey, what happened here?
And there was no spoon or anything.
Yeah, there was nothing. It was just yogurt on the wall. And my uncle, he went and he told my mom about it. Because my brother was gone at that point. So there was no even like... There was no retribution or anything from it. It was just like a weird thing that happened. But to me, it just sounds like it couldn't happen. Like that just sounds impossible.
When you ask people to do things, you should be very mindful of the words choice that you say. When you say throw me some yogurt, you probably should say, please hand me the cup with the spoon.
Please hand it to me specifically. You say specifically put it in my hands.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's a good one.
That was a pretty good one for me.
Yeah, I'll never stop laughing about that one. That was a different.
Yeah, because that one blows my mind because I just think it can't be real.
I don't know. There's no words there.
It's real though.
100%. Question number 9. Does your humor change over time?
It evolves definitely to be more mature. So certain things you found funny as a child are not funny anymore now that you're older. And the perfect example is when you're a baby, like you could play the games like peekaboo with them. Aww, where you just show your face and babies will laugh about it. Or you can just make a funny face and babies will laugh. You know, they'll laugh at like the darndest thing.
They're so sweet.
Once you get older, you need a little more stimulation. To get the giggles out.
I mean, yeah, otherwise that's actually really horrific.
But there are...
If someone was doing that to you, like peekaboo in your face, you know?
Yeah, but there are people that laugh at that.
Okay, well, we're not going to go down that route.
Yeah, but I'm just... okay.
Yeah, okay, sure. And so
yeah, exactly.
I would agree with you that things that we found funny on Hey Arnold or Rugrats or Doug, things like that, we probably would be like, and not necessarily. There's still, I mean, those shows are classic and are everything. Definitely showing our age there. But it's not as funny as, say, watching Dark Knight and hearing Heath Ledger say, what's the line that I tell you? Can you say it in the voice or no?
You're trying to do the
beginning.
Dark Knight? Oh, in the...
Mm-hmm. If something doesn't kill you, it makes you... that one.
Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stranger.
Yes!
Something like that.
That is everything. And I probably would not have found that funny as a 4-year-old, but I frequently return to that in my mind.
Some people might find that terrifying.
Yeah, it is equal, but it speaks to your dark humor that you're talking about earlier today.
Yeah, it's a dark humor. Yeah, it's definitely dark humor.
Yes, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stranger. Amazing, guys.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely changes. That's the point. Question 10. What is the funniest movie you have ever watched?
Ooh, so that's a hard question, but a really fun one to answer. For me, I think to date, I would have to go to Office Christmas Party because that movie kills me. Every single time I watch it, I like to watch it every holiday season, as you know. and Jennifer Aniston, and I forget what his name is, but he was also in Identity Thief. I think he's amazing. I forget what his name is, but he's so freaking amazing. And it's funny for so many different reasons. If you haven't watched it, the link will be in the episode on WokeNFree.com. Make sure you click on it. You watch the movie, you buy the movie. It is the best holiday movie, one of the best holiday movies ever watched, but it is actually, for me, one of the funniest movies ever watched.
All right, it's hard for me to choose the funniest, but if I had to choose one, it'd be the 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh, classic.
Because it had some crazy lines in there that you still remember.
Yeah.
That
Highly
just
offensive
nuts.
lines, too.
Yeah, they're offensive. It's
Highly
not even,
offensive,
it's not meant for this children's program you're listening to currently.
Yeah, definitely, this is not for children. Yeah. No, not at all. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it is very funny. There's some good jokes in there.
Yes.
You are now listening to WokeNFree.
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 A podcast that keeps it real and honest.
Question number 11. Have you ever been surprised by something you found funny?
Yeah, sometimes people can be so serious that it just makes me laugh. They don't realize how outrageous they are. But that at the moment when they get so serious, sometimes it's just too much that I just have to burst out or I have to look away and smile because it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Anytime I'm enraged or horribly sad, you're like laughing out for your pants.
No, I never laugh at your sadness. Now you've made a joke for the day. It's your first joke you just told.
That's a joke, Khalil?
Yeah. That you said I laughed at your sadness. I don't do that. I wouldn't even know how.
Internally and on your face.
I wouldn't know how to laugh at your sadness. I wouldn't. That would be something I'd have to learn. I'd have to go to school for it.
Why are you lying?
It's not something that even comes
to. Life together.
It doesn't even come to mind.
Get your life together.
This is like no bone in my body acts like that.
Get your life together.
I can't understand why you're saying like I don't even know where that's coming from.
You think that my pain is hilarious.
You saying pain? No, but your sadness.
Yeah, you think because you're like that's silly to be sad over that. Oh,
like, are you talking about if you're crying?
Yes, you think.
No, see, yeah, when you're. I've never. No, never. Not when you're crying. I never.
Well, I could say something else you do when I cry.
No, that doesn't make sense. We're talking about humor now. I don't laugh at you crying. That's why that's crazy.
Okay.
And I don't laugh at you getting hurt either. I mean, but
like when I'm enraged and when I'm angry.
Now, anger, I laugh at your anger though, but not sadness. I laugh at, because again, when you're so angry and serious, then it's too much. It's why he's so serious. It's crazy.
We go back to the Dark Knight.
Yeah. Now we have to make those references because you brought it up.
Why so
Now we have to bring that up.
Fine, but I was surprised at that someone could find my humor to be my anger to be humorous. I never thought that would be the case. You proved to me that.
But I thought the question was about what you found surprising. That was funny.
I guess what I could
For
find.
You specifically.
So if it's from my perspective.
Yeah.
Then I guess the amount of times that I probably tickle myself. Because I do find myself to be funny, or things that I'm thinking or things that I'm saying to be funny, which I don't necessarily always know translates to others, but I'm having a good time. So I think that's kind of funny that like I can be I can find myself humorous and someone I'm talking to may or may not. And so it makes me wonder, like, am I really funny or what's my perception of humor, I guess, but it's weird. I don't know.
So you're not surprised about being entertained by gas things?
Excuse you?
By gas, like gas brings humor to your heart.
You're talking about flatulence?
Human cutting the wind brings
I don't
joy
find
to your
that
heart.
to be funny. I find that to be gross. Like,
but you do laugh about it though, because you have a sense of potty humor.
Potty humor?
Yeah, that's called. A lot of adults have it, and we just don't admit it. And you know it. Adults will
I'm
laugh when
usually
they know.
angered if someone's farting and it stinks, Khalil. Like, whether it's a human or a creature, like.
Yeah, but no, you laugh. You laugh about it too. You say, "Oh gosh, this is too much."
No, I don't laugh. I'm horrified and I'm angered.
Oh, I don't know, but sometimes you chuckle though.
Oh, I mean, when the dog farts and it's like a silent wonder of horror, then.
Yeah, see, you definitely chuckle about
Yeah.
it. You still have that sense in you. Because children love farts, but adults
What are you
not
suggesting?
so much. That really gets that babies giggle about that too.
And you're comparing that to me.
No, I'm just saying adults.
Okay,
Adults do. I'm just
okay.
saying a lot. Not all of your adults. Some adults they don't laugh
Move
at
on
fart
from
jokes,
that, yeah.
but we do. We have to talk about it.
Oh gosh, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. That could be surprising to some people.
That's true. True.
Because some people think you're an adult. You can't laugh at a gas.
That's true. Yeah.
At all. You can't even be tickled. Question 12. Who is the funniest person you know?
Can I say me?
Okay. Alrighty then.
Alrighty. So, I mean, I think I'm pretty much the funniest person in this household. And
that's a good joke.
I think I'd like to revisit that statement 30 or 40 years from now, but currently...
You're the funniest in this household over
I'm
any of the
expecting
animals?
our son to be probably to surpass my humor, but currently I would vote me.
Okay, so you vote yourself out of everybody you know.
Yes, I have high self-esteem.
All right, that's pretty good. The funniest person I know is Kevin Hart.
You're so rude. You're so rude.
No, I'm not. I'm just telling the truth. I don't know him personally, but I saw him at Penn State before he blew up, so I'm counting him in the list.
And you're completely discounting me, clearly.
I didn't discount you. You don't compare to Kevin Hart's humor.
Ouch. Is that the joke?
No, I'm just saying he's standing on a different echelon of humor. Who makes you
laugh every day, though? Moi.
More than Kevin Hart?
Kevin Hart makes you laugh every day?
Every day?
But do I not make you laugh every day?
But I mean, I laugh from media itself. I mean, you can say you're going up and against the internet too, though. Then is the internet the funniest person I know? Because the internet makes me laugh every day.
Fabulous question or statement. I don't know.
See, that's the thing. The internet has a lot of funny things.
That's interesting.
Well, now you're trying to say that. It depends what you define as a person. Does a person have to be human?
Oh, here we go.
Or human presenting?
Here we go.
See, that's a whole different thing, though.
Fine. All right. The funniest person I know, you said, and I did. So now we're moving on to question number 13, which is who's the funniest celebrity or comedian for 2021 then?
So for 2021, I have to give it up to the great Dave Chappelle because he is not only funny, but he's thoughtful. He knows how to talk about real societal issues, and he makes you think about it from a different point of view. And he'll talk about some real stuff. Like, he gets really into it.
And also offends quite a bit, too.
Of course, because these are real... But that's the thing. When you talk about real issues, even you can agree with one side, and then you're offending the whole other side. So there's no...
Well, also how he
never
goes
win.
about talking about communities as well. It can be offensive, right? And the language choice, and, you know, things could be said differently, for sure.
It could, but then it wouldn't...
It wouldn't land the same
way. It wouldn't
way.
Seem genuine even. It's kind of like
Not from him, yeah.
Yeah, he speaks kind of like, this is genuinely who I am. Instead of trying to say like, all right, I'm going to button up when I'm speaking about the specific things.
Correct, absolutely. I would give it up to Kevin Hart for stand-up, not films. I, like you, saw him at stand-up at Penn State. Okay. And it's been so nice to see all that he's accomplished since then, and we both support him, but I support his stand-up routines. I just want to be clear about that one.
That's good. Question 14. Is there anything you would want to change about comedy?
I definitely would love to see comedy go in the direction of utilizing more storytelling. That's why I think we both really love Kevin Hart, because he doesn't just like crack a joke or go from one subject to a next subject to a next subject. He really tries to layer in and kind of weave in stories and then bring it all together at the end. And so it just piles upon each other like moments of laughter upon laughter, and really would like to see more comedians using that art of storytelling. And also to things that we talked about earlier, refraining from using stereotypes or joking around color or weight or religion or race or sexual orientation or national, your origin of where you come from and ethnicity, things like that, because they are going to more likely be more offensive than helpful. And we need to move away from that, especially as a Black person. I would love to live a year in my life where I don't hear about someone of color talking about the color of someone else's skin in our community. I find that to be just super troubling and unnecessary. It's either way you land, if you're talking about fairer skinned people or darker skinned people, I just don't think that in whatever community, but generally within my own community, I find it to be deeply troubling, because it just, to me, is symbolism of how we haven't improved on moving away from the issues with colorism. But Okay. And then also, if we could not laugh at identifiers, for people who, other types of identifiers, as people are, sexual orientation and gender identity they're both, kind of fluid spectrums. And so can we not make fun of people who are in different categories and they don't need to be othered in our society. I think that we owe it to ourselves to be more progressive and to be more inclusive and to be more open-minded. And I know that changes how the humor landscape, but I think it's worth it because then more people don't feel ostracized for just being who they are in their authentic skin.
Yeah, the comedy changes over time, so most of those won't be around, and however long comes up. It just takes time. Once things are normalized, they're not funny anymore because it's just what you see.
Exactly.
And for me, I want people to stop stealing other people's jokes and sharing it on their social media because that's a big thing now. You go and you want to tell a joke for the first time, but someone takes it and they share it with everybody else, and now it doesn't hit as hard. So,
oh wow!
And
you're seeing this on your own feed?
No, I don't. I'm not. Other comedians were having this happen. It was a common complaint.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just voicing what the issues that they were having.
That's an issue. Okay.
Yeah, because I think that is messed up. I like the jokes to stick with whoever wrote it and not somebody to claim it as their own.
So you think comedians are going to have to file copyright stuff over their material more now or something?
I don't know what the solution is, but
that's crazy.
Something needs to happen because that's messed
good. Up. Yeah, you should have rights to your own material. Especially
you shouldn't take people's jokes.
That's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Question number 15: do you think everybody finds something funny?
That's a good one. I'd say no, because there are people that are in dark spaces where it's hard to find good things in life. And I'm just thinking from the standpoint of people like prisoners of war and people in countries that are currently in a really constant ongoing war, places like that. I don't know if they're actually finding things funny. I mean, you can always find something funny, but I don't think everybody is finding something funny. But you actually, the ability does exist there. It's like you say, anything's possible. It is possible to find something funny, but I believe there are people in this world that are not finding anything funny in the moment.
I completely agree with you. I think that unfortunately there's always going to be an outlier in life. And so for people who are also maybe struggling with certain mental health conditions, maybe humor is really hard to achieve, right? If you're kind of not yourself or not feeling well or not looking at life and seeing any positivity, or to your point, are extremely in kind of trying times and really suffering. And especially if you're being tortured, it'd be hard to... I mean, unless you really are like Joker, to find the ability
to have an out of body experience.
Yeah,
if you can come out of your body, then you can kind of do it.
You would be a different level human, I would think. But yes, I agree that's probably happening.
Yeah. Question 16. Have you ever laughed at something that was inappropriate?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are jokes and films that we've watched that are wildly inappropriate. That included content that, even just 4-year-old version. I mean, when you say that, there's so many really wild statements that come to mind that are not appropriate, that are not funny, but I still will laugh at just because.
Well, yeah, it actually brings to mind, I'm not going to name the situation or the movie specifically, but I remember we went over to somebody's house and we were watching a movie, and it was an old movie. It's very popular. But we were in a room with people that weren't of our culture, I'll say. And a joke came on and it was super racist. And normally I think people would laugh at it, but there was not a word. The room got real quiet. And then once the scene passed, then we continued to, it was a comedy we were watching. Then everything else was funny, but there was a super racist joke came on. It was like, oh, I mean, it's funny, but we shouldn't be laughing. But That I thought was an interesting thing because it was definitely inappropriate, but people kind of knew we shouldn't laugh because it's offensive to other people.
Yes, that makes sense. Question number 17: how important is it to have a sense of humor?
It is of the utmost importance. I think it leads to a happy, healthy life. Laughing, I think it just makes you feel freer. It gives you a sense of joy, and it's something you don't want to miss.
Absolutely. I love to laugh. And I don't think there's been one episode that we've had that we haven't laughed on air.
And we've had some serious episodes. I think there was one there was actually one, really? I remember, where we didn't laugh. It was a serious episode and we actually had no laughs,
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
because zero laughs. It was early on, though.
Yeah, I'm usually laughing all the time. I mean, at least once an hour. I hate trying to find an opportunity.
Once an hour? That's pretty good.
I really try to laugh as often as possible.
I think I usually laugh once a decade.
Okay, you're telling jokes now?
But You think you call all the sounds I make laughing?
How old do you think
Because
you are?
Because my actual laugh is this.
Tell me when you want me to start
See,
laughing.
see that kind of laugh? I do that once a decade. Like that type of laugh.
And that's your form of acting, right?
I mean, I hope not. That would be some interesting acting.
Poor acting, actually. Yes.
Would it be poor? Wow.
Correct.
All right, if you say so.
Ultimately, I love laughing. I love cursing. I love to keep it woke and free. And so all of those things play a special role in my life, like you said, to have a happy, healthy life. And anyone and anything that provides the ability for me to be able to laugh more and to enjoy life more, I'm all about it. So anything that contradicts that, I usually eliminate from my life, or I am vehemently not pleased to have. So like toxic or negative people that are more interested in being toxic or negative than funny, I have no time or space for that. But yeah.
Question 18. What is the funniest thing you have read in 2021?
So this is really fun. I read a meme that said 2020 went home, put on a wig, and came back as 2021. I thought that was maybe the best thing I've ever read in my life. And
nice.
And we will share this meme in the episode, guys, on WokeNFree.com, because I think if you think about kind of how bizarre this year is going so far, this statement's not that far off, potentially. So just very funny. But how about you?
I was actually thinking of a book with this question, but I've only read a sample of it. I didn't read the whole book, but the book is called Confessions of a Former Fox News Christian by Seth Andrews. And besides the title saying it all, he talks about some interesting things the Fox News channels covered. So I thought it had a lot of funny tidbits in there.
Okay. Interesting. And you'll share the link as well?
I can.
Okay. Sounds good. Question number 19. What is a funny phrase that you currently enjoy?
So I guess I currently enjoy it, but I just think it's one of the funniest phrases I've ever heard. And it's, you gonna learn today, as famously said by Kevin Hart. I just think that phrase, it's just crazy. It says it all to me.
Absolutely. Well, what I think is most enjoyable is the context of the story that
of course.
That to me was
well, hearing it from that way, yeah.
Yeah, the story context for that bit of his skit. And is that Laugh at My Pain? I think that was from that one, right?
That's from that whole tour.
That stand-up. Oh, so funny. If you have not watched that, I believe it's still on Netflix. Definitely check that out. That's like you're gonna learn today is infamously funny. That's incredible. So I came across a phrase that says, a clear conscience is usually the sign of a bad memory. I thought that was pretty funny because what I think is really funny about that is that most people think that they're justified and right and righteous in who they are and all the decisions that they make. And it's more like you have forgotten probably everything that's happened or just how wrong you really are in life. And so I just thought that phrase was something that was funny. But again, guys, you'll find all of our links and references in the episode on WokeNFree.com.
Question 20. What is something you want people to remember when it comes to humor?
Humor is, it doesn't have to be hurtful, damning, or uncomfortable. Life is filled with many moments that don't require us to tear each other down. So I would love for people, when thinking about humor and when crafting stories and jokes, to just keep that in mind, that there's so many things to laugh at that doesn't require the degradation and or humiliation of others. So can we just focus on that and just focus on the funny moments? Like you said, to be human is to be funny or humorous in nature, which I think is interesting and very much true. And so can we just hone in on the funny moments that are not specific to your race or specific to your sexual orientation or whatever identifiers apply to you? And what's been really funny? What's the funny moment? What's the funny lesson? What's the funny thing that you could share that's going to make someone's day better and not want to cringe and cry and eat a bunch of ice cream?
Humor, it's different for everyone. What you find funny might be a very uncomfortable moment for another. I advocate feeling people out and not just exposing them to any inappropriate jokes until you know them. This might take a little different than yours.
Okay.
But,
so get to know your audience a bit more. Yeah. That's very mindful though. Yeah, I like it. Cool. Last question, question 21. What's a funny joke that you enjoy and you want to share?
What did one wall say to the other?
I have no clue.
I'll meet you at the corner.
Cheesy all day long. I like it.
I like that. There was some other jokes, but I like that one.
I want to hear the other ones, though.
You can't. You only get one joke.
I know you're
this
dark
question's
nature,
one joke.
So yes.
Oh wow! You're trying to say like
good
that.
Good thing I share a bedroom with you, so I can just hear more later.
Okay. You say so. My dark jokes.
Yes. I thought you were going to call me something different, and I was going to really wild out on you.
My wife? I mean, you
I
are
know.
my wife.
Be like my dark humorous wife or something like come up with a name of me. Like, because of my humor. I don't have dark humor, but I do enjoy things that are like wildly inappropriate. So there's that. But my joke that I'd like to share is, why are there gates around cemeteries?
Why is that?
Because people are dying to get in.
That was good.
That's actually really mean and horrible, but I do think it was like, I don't know, I just thought it was funny.
See, that was your dark joke.
It was my, yeah, I liked, well, yeah.
Yeah, because you have another joke that's not really a joke.
No, it is not a joke.
So that's why it doesn't even count for this question.
Exactly.
But that joke you just told right now, it is a joke. It's just a dark joke.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a good one though.
It's so good that you didn't laugh.
Yeah, no, but that's what I love. I like that a joke can be funny, but you don't have to laugh at it. Isn't that cool?
That's super creepy though.
Oh, really? Because you can like appreciate the nature of it, because it's like it's like double entendre.
Though. Like, you just looked at me and was like, "That's a good one." Like,
yeah, because I absorbed it. Like I was like, "Wow, that's a good one."
Like I just shot you with energy. Like
it was a good play on words. You know, that I had to go and think of. It was like my joke, but it was just a little more
creepy,
a little depressing in nature. So that's what I liked about it. Yeah. It makes you think about the finer things in life.
The deader things.
Yeah, well, that's the end. You know, the end of life is death. So that's why it was a good joke. It didn't bring laughter to my mouth, but to my heart, it brought cheer.
We are at that time again. It is coming to the end of our 186th episode of WokeNFree. Hideous.
That was good.
This was quite the episode, doing another WokeNFree story time called 21 Questions About Humor. Will we leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we will be discussing marriage or mortgage. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please submit a topic for an upcoming episode on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. So that is WokeNFree.com. Now, when it comes to social media, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok at WokeNFree. And then for any sponsorships or collaborations, where do you go? It's simple. The Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode, and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokeNFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokeNFree is more than a podcast, it is a way of life. Until next time.